On that note, Ryan, over to you. I'm not going to make you go pink, but
Thank you,
okay.
Shweta. Thank you.
And so
Thank you.
we will have Ryan has a presentation. We will have Ryan walk us through that. And then there's a set of questions that I'll ask Ryan. And if you have any questions, you can feel free to put it up in the chat, or we will have a Q&A session towards the end.
Thank you so much, Shweta. Thank you, Garima. Thank you, everyone, for joining in on a Saturday. Promise to add value to all of you here today in the seminar. I'm going to share my screen. I would love to start with this first slide. Shweta, is my screen sharing?
Yes, it is.
You lived in Bangalore. You probably know that this is UB City. The Malaya Tower is there in the background, and it's probably the most expensive real estate in Bangalore.
Yeah.
I recently discovered Hong Kong is the most expensive real estate in the world. We did a Google up for it. And I want to place this to anyone watching in or listening in. The most expensive real estate is you. Ever thought about that? I recently bought my home in Bangalore. And after I bought it, I was like, yeah, it's a second-hand home, but I'm going to do up the walls. I'm going to do up the floor. I'm going to do up the bathroom. And then as I was scrubbing some of the taps in the bathroom, where at the bottom of the basin, like I was cleaning it, now the house is mine, I'm going to clean it. So imagine that's your human body and you actually owned your body. And now your liver had to be cleaned up, your cartilage had to be cleaned up. So most of us go through life with this thought process, our body is somebody else. We are tenants in it. Think about it. Are you really the landlord of your body? And if you're the landlord of your body, you will not miss.
I think it's Ryan's network.
Shweta, has my presentation stopped because my screen has frozen?
We can hear you now.
Okay, okay, you can hear me. So basically, the whole idea over here is to start everyone on this process, which is whatever you spend your money on, I would like to convince you that spend a little bit lesser on your house, a little bit lesser on your Gucci bag, a little bit lesser on your Asics running shoes, a little bit lesser on your Maldives trip, and a little bit more on the food that you eat. What you put into you is the equivalent of me thinking about putting Italian house versus putting vitrified tiles. And it's now my own house that I bought. So I'm thinking, should I not? Oh, it's like 150 rupees more expensive per square foot. And the same logic does it apply to your body. So most runners that I have met in my life do naam ke vaste nutrition. They use running as the nutritional stick or lati or discipline to get you to the next level. So, from a perspective, just a moment. From a perspective where you want to be working, the screen is frozen. Just a moment. Shweta, can you hear me? Because my laptop is completely frozen and I don't know if it's with the Zoom.
We can hear you, but I think
The screen
Ryan,
is
But we
frozen.
can't see you. Yeah. Ryan, will you stop sharing and share again, maybe?
Yeah, I'm just stopping sharing. Just a moment. Murphy's law says things will hang when you want it to not hang. So my screen is completely frozen. The logic now is to completely reboot the laptop, which will take me about a minute and a half to come back.
No, what you could do is if you have, yes, you could please mail it to Shweta and she could display it, or yeah, you might have her email ID.
No, the problem is my screen has completely frozen.
Everything is frozen.
Everything is frozen. It has never done that.
So we can
Okay.
wait till you come back. That's
Just a moment, just a moment. I'm seeing if I can end the task. I'll just come back on this, okay?
Sure.
Sorry, guys.
Okay.
Office law.
Ryan, you want to?
Whatever you do or whatever you own, if I can just leave you with the first thought and the only thought of today, which is, what's the brand of your body? So I believe I'm a Rolls Royce. So I would ask Vinod, I would ask Rama, I would ask Amber, I would ask Jay, whoever's in here, Praveen, Tanmay, what brand are you? And think of your body as a vehicle or something very elite. And the act of eating is the raw material to build this real estate, to maintain this real estate, to preserve this real estate.
I'm on a Zoom registration.
So from that perspective, let me start off with 2-3 things. There's something known as shelf life of every cell. The only thing that you don't change in your entire body is your eyes. Everything else turns over. Turns over means, like for example, the hair on my head is not the same when I was 10 years younger. Every 7 months you change a hair follicle. So to produce the hair follicle and the hair that comes out from your hair follicle, it is the nutrition that goes into you. So as a sports nutritionist, when I am called upon to produce an Olympic level performance, or somebody goes for the MDS, somebody goes for the Marathon De Sables, they want performance, they want run time. We are looking at the structure of the cell, but it's like you've given me a house and you've called me as an interior decorator to make your internal rooms look better, shine more, run faster. But what I would like in today's seminar, because I see a lot of gray hair like me in this presentation, which is these are the masters and above older runners, which means you want to run till you're 70 years of age. But how do you not have this real estate breakdown? So now you don't contract a sports nutritionist to do the interior decoration, but you come in and say, I need an architect. I need an architect because I know that every 14 years, I turn over my muscle cell. And every 8 years, I turn over my fat cells. My blood cells is 4 months. My brain cells almost never turn over. My neurons never turn over. So when I present this picture to you, it's not about do you follow a diet? It's about how aware are you about the science of what you put into your body. So having said that, there are 2-3 things that I would love for you to do. One, if money is not an issue, and it should not be an issue because your real estate is the most expensive real estate on the planet. If you own a house that's 1, 2, 3 crores and you have not done a genetic test or blood test, then you're living in a slum. Think about it. You have never invested as much on the science. Yeah, you're doing personal best, you're running for the fun of it. But my logic to you is, have you seen 50 years ahead? I have. Because I have an 88-year-old marathon runner who comes to me and says, I wish I had done this nutrition when I was 50 so that I wouldn't have catastrophically damage the turnover of that room inside of my body. It could be the liver, it could be the heart, it could be the kidneys, it could be the pancreas, it could be the muscle, it could be the cartilage, it could be the bones. For example, a lot of women do not know that they have the osteoporosis or the osteoarthritis gene. So what is gene? Gene is the software code in the human body that you inherited from your mother and father. So I would love for you to understand, in the software code, are you thumbs up or you thumbs down? For example, I have a magnesium gene that is thumbs down. So I cramp very easily in my carbs, but the moment I take a magnesium supplement on a daily basis, now Puritan would say, no, you shouldn't take a supplement on a daily basis. But I do know that my gene is a thumbs down, therefore I need to take a magnesium supplement to prevent cramping so I can do my karate class. So my logic to everyone out here is if you do a nutrition gene test and a fitness gene test, you get an astrology or a crystal ball gazing into your future. And that's how I work as a magician. So people are like, oh yeah, Ryan's given me this time. No, I'm not giving you any timing. I've just gone in and understood your architectural blueprint, which is the blood test and which is the genetic test. Now, once you get that, then we get into who are the people going in and out of this building, which the building is you, if you haven't got the synonym by now. And how are you feeding this building? What are the choices of food? When are you putting it? What is the timing? Is there any science behind the logic of you putting in a banana before a run, or you're doing a fasted state training? Let me tell you, in 25 years of doing this, no two people are the same, including you get brother and sister, or brother and brother, sister and sister in the same family. There is a genetic diversity, except in identical twins. The genetic diversity results in you making better or worse food choices. And so when Shweta said at the beginning of this lecture that Ryan, wherever I am, I call him up, he says, you can eat it. But those 4-5 riders are me remembering what are the gene sets in her. And I don't say no, but I ask her, is that something that you want to be doing? Given the fact that you know what is a front foot for you and what is a back foot for you. Front foot meaning the gene's working for you. Back foot means the gene is not working for you. So from this perspective, I wanted to talk about just your real estate being the most expensive thing. So Shweta, what I will do is I will take the questions because it'll be better for people to, in this session, to get their questions and queries answered. So we would have the next 45 minutes just to go in rapid fire and get the questions answered.
Perfect. Okay. So we'll start with, I think, the very, very basic question of this whole macro and micro, which, a lot of people have a lot of questions about, saying, what are the macros, how important they are, what are the micros, how do we, and maybe some food examples that fall into each of the categories, and, its role in the sport.
Okay.
So broadly explaining macro and micro with some examples and the role it plays.
So let me, I'm just seeing if I can open that one slide that I created. Just give me a second. Yeah, I got it. Okay, so macro and micro, Greek words. Macro means large, micro means small. Imagine your body has 3 fuel sources. You're a car, you get petrol, you get diesel, and you get electric. So you got protein, carbs, and fat. Depending on your genetic predisposition, some of us are amazing carb burners, some of us are amazing fat burners, and some lie in between. The protein is the building block. The protein is the macro, the carb is the macro, the fat is the macro. Macro means it gives the calorie content. We as nutritionists, when we plan a nutrition plan, people think, oh, just 2 idli, 2 dosa, 2 paratha, 2 biryani, it's very general. I can do this myself. But from an Olympic level perspective, let me tell you, when we work with boxers, when we work with taekwondo, when we work with wrestlers, which is weight managed sports, I can get a boxer to 60 kgs one day before the boxing finals when the actual body weight is 72 kgs. I did that with Sushil Kumar. I've done it with half a dozen boxers. It cannot be done overnight, but it can be done over a 6 to 8 week period. And you do that by controlling your macros, your protein, your carbs, and your fats. So as a runner, these are your fuel sources. I can't give you a generic statement, but I can tell you as a runner, if you've crossed the age of 50, aim to get 1.5 grams per kg body weight of protein. So let's say Mr. Vinod is 72 kgs or 73 kgs. I would give Mr. Vinod 72 into 1, which is 73.5 is half of 70, 35, about 100 to 105 grams of protein. Now with the vegetarian or non-vegetarian, I have a discussion with the client in terms of what is their dietary preference. Then I go after the food sources to build it into his program. Now, if a said individual has too much of body fat percentage on their body, okay, I call them the petrol tanks or the fuel tanks around your waist or your hip or your bum, which is most of the places where we store our fat reserves. Those could be tanks which could help you in running, provided you know how to tweak your carbohydrate down or tweak your carbohydrate up. So it sounds a little bit confusing. Let me see if my screen shares. Oh.
So Ryan, question on that is, you said 73 grams of protein.
Yes.
So how much protein should one intake in terms of broadly between veg and non-veg to get that much of protein? Because
so normally when we work, it's like this, okay? Again, it was 73 kg man would require 1.5. If it's a 50 kg woman, she'd require 75 grams of protein, because it's 1.5 into 50 kg, 75 grams of protein. Now, how we do it is, it's a very simple equation wherein how many meals a day would you eat? So if you eat 5 meals a day, divide by 5, or 3 major meals, divide by 3, and keep two small meals, which is your pre-workout and post-workout snack, as 2 small meals, and call that a major meal. So 4. So 75 divided by 4, which is roughly 20 grams per meal. So Shweta, what I would do is, then I would split that 20 grams per meal. Now, if I'm a vegetarian, I would look at what food sources would give me 25 grams of protein. So is it 100 grams as a cup of beans that I need to eat? Or is it multiple, some beans, some dal, some soy, or some paneer, or some curd, or a glass of milk? So put that as a vegetarian source. If it's a non-veg source, like this morning I had my non-veg breakfast, I was looking at everything. Oh, okay, I'm doing 5 uttapams. I'm doing 2 eggs. So the 2 eggs are 12 grams of protein. The uttapam has about 10 grams of protein in that total, because more dal content. Yeah, 25 grams. Oh yeah, I'm covered. Oh wow, I forgot my baked beans to reduce my cholesterol. So I do a whole cup of baked beans. And then there was a salmon fish, and I looked at it and I was like, I'm already full. The uttapam South Indian breakfast on Saturday was just too much. So I was like, okay, not eating the salmon. The salmon alone was about 120 grams weight, which would have given me another 30 grams of protein. So I think if you start breaking down your macros that way and looking at the protein content, then you go to the carbohydrate content. Now, most elite runners have a very good fat percentage. So Shweta, like I make you go in continuously to get a body composition assessment done. I wish to ask this group, how many of you, and maybe just let me know in the chat box, how many of the chat box would have done the body composition. So just type in yes or no, just to have a basic understanding of how many of you have done a body composition. And in the body composition, very good, I'm getting many yeses. You need to know your fat composition, your visceral fat, and your muscle mass. Okay. Now, once you have this information, it's like saying, I know how many bedrooms are there in my house. I know how many kitchens are there, how many halls are there. I mean, kitchens and halls is like if you're a billionaire in this audience, but you get my gist, right? You need to know what's the construct. Now, when a person, specifically a man, has more than 25% body fat, I'd like to bring it down. If a woman has more than 30% body fat, I'd like to bring it down. Women, ideally speaking, childbearing phase should be 25 to 30%. If you're not looking to have children, 20 to 25% is a great fat percentage. Below 20%, you're a rock star. Men below 15%, you don't need to come to a nutritionist. Okay, 15 to 25%, work on it. And that's where I would say do the body composition to then begin to understand how to feed your macros. So if I were to put the brakes on carbohydrate, as a marathon runner, we can use protein, amino acids, and things like L-carnitine or B complex to go and lati the fat out of your body. Okay, I can't do it in a 45-minute lecture. It's like a 6-hour workshop that I actually found a runner's workshop that I did for 6 hours. And I took the slide that you're seeing is one of the slides from that 6-hour workshop. So that will be the macros. And then you come to the micros. Micros are your vitamins and minerals. I'm going to paste in a blood test link. And those of you who do a blood test, if you click on this link, it takes you to a page I've constructed, which is the nutritionist choice of blood test, which is a general blood test. And then you have the vitamins and minerals. And I also have the heavy metals, and I also have food allergy blood test. If money is not an issue, get all of them done once a year. The reason being is, and let me tell you the logic. The logic is this: the general blood test, the liver, the enzyme, the kidney enzyme, you do it twice a year. You know if the running is damaging your body. Please understand, when you run, you break down cellular structure in you, which puts a load on your liver and kidney and all the detoxification systems in your body. So if you're not feeding correctly, you're not born with the right genes to recover, you're actually killing yourself to a certain extent. You're killing your muscle. Your muscle's damaging too much. It goes and puts load on liver and kidney. I have had people in CrossFit rhabdolysis, which is they hammer up the body so badly that they go into toxic mode. But you don't do that. You're taking rest, you're eating well. I'm assuming that. So when you come into the micronutrients, why did I go to the blood test? Because I genuinely do not take a multivitamin. And let me tell you why. I'm the guy that launched Amway Nutrilite in India. I was one of the first employees in 1999. Okay. I worked with them for 3 years to build the Nutrilite model in India and educate people about, and Amway Daily is one of my preferred prescription choices in the multivitamin. Centrum is there, first form from the US. And my all-time favorite, Shweta knows, is Trevo. It's 174 fruit and vegetable extract from the US. You don't get it in India. It's a liquid multivitamin. I think it's like the Lamborghini of vitamin and minerals. If you can get a bottle of it and start taking 1 or 2 tablespoons a day, covers everything that you need. But I don't take it. Why? Because in this link I've sent you, I do all the vitamin and mineral blood test. And if any one of them go down, whether my B2, so I keep tracking my B6 and my B9, and I keep tracking my zinc and magnesium because my genetic receptors told me that these 4 don't absorb well. So when I check my blood test and I look at, oh, it's all normal. Do I need to take a multivitamin? No, because I'm eating my food correctly. So your food, the Indian farmer should be planting it in correct soil and stuff like that. And you should be getting the micronutrients. The bad news is that the micronutrients in the soil so the palak today, as compared to the palak that my grandmother ate, my grandmother got a more nutritive micronutrition in the vegetables and the fruits as compared to what we get today. So I'm not saying that you need to take a supplement. I'm saying do the blood test, be aware. How often? Well, if like I've got one of these guys who's billionaires, money is not an issue. He does the blood test every month. He's like, Ryan, I need to know if it goes down even by 10 points. Like if I watch the stock market, why not my own body? So I think once a month is like just too much. Once a quarter is perfect if you're above 50. Once every 6 months, if you're a runner, have to do it every 6 months. And if you're not a runner in this forum, then at least once a year you do the blood test. If you do the blood test, Shweta can give you my email ID, and then I can help you get in touch with a person on my team who can guide you that, hey, this is wrong, that's wrong. But in terms of the micronutrition in runners, my all-time favorite is magnesium for the men and women, calcium specifically more for the women after I do a blood test because of osteoporosis, because as your estrogen drops, as you move towards menopause, your bone mineral density drops. So when you do that DEXA scan, I'll just type it up, DEXA. DEXA is the gold standard for doing your body composition. Sorry, I've jumped from blood test to DEXA scan. Why? Because this calcium is in your bone minerals. Men also should do it above the age of 50, but please do the DEXA scan only once a year because it's a radiation CT scan. Once a year, don't do it more than that. Other than that, you can do the in-body, or like I have this one weighing scale over here in my clinic, which is called the Omron Karada scan, which gives you the overall, I'll just type it up for everyone, Omron Karada HBF. I think it's HBF 965 if I'm not mistaken, or something like that. You'll get it on Amazon, 9,900 rupees. It gives you 4 measures of the area check of fat in your whole body, your trunk, your arms, and your legs. And the same for muscle, whole body muscle, whole body arms, whole body trunk, whole body legs, and visceral fat and body age. So kind of that, when you take it on a monthly basis, you know your body composition, you do your blood tests every 6 months, you get to know if you're feeding, the raw materials you're giving in the macro and micros are really clear. So Shweta, I know I went all over the place, and things like chromium, things like selenium, things like sodium. So the minerals of micro is sodium and potassium. Runners need to be very careful on the sodium and potassium because sometimes they sweat so much, they lose so much of sodium, potassium goes to the roof. Potassium taken in high quantities can cause a heart attack. So all the runners need to do is understand that they're losing sweat. And if you taste your sweat, it's very salty. Salt is sodium. Sodium is 5 times the loss of sodium to 1 time of potassium. So the moment I find somebody who has potassium high, it means they've lost too much of sodium, right? The problem lies in those who have blood pressure problems. You can't give too much of sodium. So that's where medical sports nutrition comes into play. And I've had people with stents, with bypass, with high BP who are runners, who are triathletes, and we work on from a perspective. Shweta, next question.
Ryan, would you talk a little bit about D3? Because I know a lot of people who, when and if they do a test, say that the D3 is like too low.
Yeah.
And I think that's the most common thing that I hear from people.
You know, the world is evolving, artificial intelligence is coming in, and so everyone's getting this awareness and knowledge. But I remember in 2012, when I used to bet with people, the whole cost of their diet counseling, if your vitamin D3 is not low, I'll refund the cost of the money of your counseling, because I knew that Indians are 70 to 80% most likely. And in 2012, nobody had this understanding or answer, even doctors. And I knew that vitamin D was most prevalent, because you start doing it with 20 athletes, and all 20 athletes who eat really well, they're in the sun all the time with their shirt off, and they're youngsters and they have vitamin D deficiency. Imagine us fuddy-duddies, you know, what's going to happen to our bodies. So vitamin D kind of, I think the issue is because we are dark skinned, number one. And then we are in shirt and pant, and how many of us, I mean, we Indians, I'm from Goa, and if I go to the beach, I will go with a t-shirt on and full gym trousers, and I will not go with shorts and, you know, exposed to the sun and stuff like that. So we Indians have this aversion towards sunbathing and stuff like that. Yes, sunbathing I've seen in athletes and even in clients, it goes up by 5 or 10 points. I think we have lower vitamin D because of the skin, because of the insecticides, pesticides in our food chain, which affect the activation of the vitamin D in the kidneys. And so you take a vitamin D test, blood test, do it every quarter. It's a lifelong supplement, everyone. I do vitamin D twice a month, a 60,000 IU. I do a liquid one from Abbott Laboratories called Arikatol. I think it's the better one. Vitamin D, Arikatol, 1 mg, you can, Arikatol, 60,000. People talk about D-rise and other things. Yeah, that's all okay and all. I found this one because it's a liquid, its absorption is far better, because the granules, I think, can just go through and pass through you and don't dissolve, as well as a nanoparticleized one. And injection sometimes is the best thing that you can do, but runners have stopped recommending injections because the doctors tend to not understand. They poke the people on the thigh or the bum, and then you have that nodule of vitamin D there for about 30-45 days, and that hurts for people who are runners. So if you're getting the vitamin D injection, get it in the upper part of your body. But otherwise, just the 60,000 IU would work. Very interestingly, vitamin D is the BAP of testosterone. So when vitamin D is low, testosterone is low, both for males and female. Even females require testosterone. Males, yes, as you're growing older, if your testosterone drops below 400, try getting your vitamin D levels to 60 to 70 nanograms. So 30 to 100 is the range. Everyone's like, sir, mine is 31, 32. It's like you saying, I'm at the bottom of my class in school and you're very excited about it. I'd like you to be middle of the class or top of the class. So the problem is, people think that if they come to the borderline low level, like I have a client 218 in vitamin B12, he's like, mine's 222, no, it's okay, na? So your liver holds 10 years version. Your liver holds 10 years version of B12. If it has come down to 222, it means in the last decade, you have been fooling around, and your vitamin D has come, your vitamin B12 has come down. So the vitamin Bs and vitamin Cs are water soluble. You pee them out, you sweat them out, and runners have chronically low B and C levels. Not to mention, you do not know whether your genetic predisposition, because you have not done your genetic receptor test. We live in 2023. People have got the latest watches, latest phones, latest flute boards in their halls, double paned windows in their houses to escape pollution and heat and everything. But when it comes to understanding the body and diet, everyone's winging it. So I would say, please get the genetic test done. You will thank me 25 years later saying, oh, Ryan, you told me to do this. And whoever I'm meeting now 20 years later have advised in the olden days. I remember doing the first genetic test in India in 2006 with Ranbaxy for the ACT and sprinting gene. I was the first guy to ask for it. And Ranbaxy, like no doctors ever asked for it. The reason is you want to know the crystal ball gazing for the future so you can make the interventions via nutrition. Shweta, any other questions? Let's move on to more questions or people have questions.
Yeah. So next question is carb, protein, and fat that you mentioned. As a runner, typically who does say average running training for a half or a full marathon, what kind of a mix of that should they take? Because there are a lot of myths. People say, oh, more protein, less fat, this, that, all kinds. So could you, I know it's very generic, it's not like, but at least indicative figure for people who are in this group to get some ideas. And especially the myth that because you're a runner, you need to have extra carb before race day, carb loading, everybody's doing pasta parties and stuff like that. So I think just some light on that.
Okay, good question. This slide on glycogen. Who is glycogen? Glycogen is the combination of the carbs stored in the muscle. I want you to imagine like this small fuel tank is there. In between the muscles, you'll have packets of glycogen. And in your liver, you'll have glycogen. Glycogen is the carb reserve store. No matter how much of pasta party you do, you cannot go beyond this 90 minutes of muscle store. And 90 minutes is an elite athlete. Most of us will be at 45 minutes. Okay. And by the way, this one is for all the women in the audience. Listen in closely. 1 gram of glycogen holds 3 molecules of water. Okay. You have about 800 grams of glycogen that can be stored in your muscle. So 800 grams into 3, 2.4 liters of water is stored in your body, in your muscle. So when people do low carb diet, boom, they've lost 3 kgs. I lost weight. But they stop the diet and then they get 3 kgs comes back. That 3 kgs up and down is nothing but glycogen and water in your body. It's a transitionary stage. So any weight loss of 1 to 3 kgs is fictitious from I need to get a better body composition. You always want to be looking at your fat. So when you take carbohydrate, if you're in the weight loss running mode, I would say you need lesser than 200 grams of carbs per day to lati the fat out of your body. If you're in running mode, and you shouldn't do weight loss mode in marathon preparation. So I would do fat loss in off-season mode, and the lead time for your marathon preparation should be 120 days, 4 months. In those 4 months, you're replenishing these carbs every day. In that time, depending on your body weight, 60, 40, 6 was a 24, 240. So it's about anywhere from 40 to 90 grams per kg body weight of carbs that need to be given to a person. So let's say Shweta, somebody's there at 60 kgs, then I would give them 6 into 40 grams. So about, I would give about 60 into 4, sorry, not 40, 4. I would give them 60, I'm doing this all in my head right now. 60 kgs, I would give them 4 grams of carbohydrate per kg body weight. So that'll be 240 grams. That would be my equation, right? This is based on years of experience of just doing the permission calculation. However, if somebody's lean and skinny like me, I could go up to 5 or 6. Somebody's looking to lose weight, I would be as conducive to come under that 200. So I do maybe 3 grams per kg body weight. So 180 grams of carbohydrate. With regards to fat, 10 years from now, they will say eat more fat. It's not the cause of heart attack. In fact, they already think they removed the the whole thing in America saying that fat is the cause of disease, cholesterol is the cause of disease, as per the FDA and all. It'll come to India slowly. So this concept of full fat and half fat and low fat milk and all, I don't think is the issue for the heart attacks and the blockages. I think it's more the sugars in the diet, the refined sugars and the flours. So when we say carb, Shweta, I want to be looking at complex carbs coming in from fruit or coming in from vegetable or coming in, let's say, from my potato or my yam or my tapioca. I'm not too happy getting my carbs from wheat, jowar, bajra, rice, corn flour, because these are grains. They're cultivated, they're milled, and then you take it in very concentrated. So if you're doing a chapati, I would like it to have more fiber in it and, balance it out well. So when I come to the recommendation to people, please do a balanced diet. Number one. Number two, buy a nice table weighing scale, which you can put on your, you put a table weighing scale on your table and weigh your rice or your chapati. Work with a nutritionist to figure out what's the correct element and constantly be aware. Be your own scientific tester. Do 100 grams of rice for a whole month. See what it does to your body composition. See what it does to your triglycerides in your blood test. See what it does to your cholesterol in your blood test. By the way, carbs even affect your fat levels in your blood. So when you start running and you start, most of you over here, I don't know if I come from the time when we didn't have digital tuning. So if you remember the car radios of FMs in the early 1900s, 1990s, sorry, you had the fine knob and you had the big knob to tune into the radio station. So use your exercise as the fine knob and use the big knob as your diet in terms of trying to tune into the best body weight that you can achieve. Shweta, next question.
Before Shweta asks that, I think there was a chat message, Ryan, about B12 supplement. What is a good B12 supplement? Any thoughts on that?
So B12, most vegetarians, because B12 is mostly found only in non-veg food, governments across the world fortify milk and cereal with B12. The Indian government has just decided to start that policy in India also. But step one, vegetarians, non-vegetarians, check your B12 level. Step two, if it is below 300 and you're a runner, start supplementing. Which supplement? You can do a general multivitamin like a Supradin, like a Revital, like a One A Day, like a to Z, a Trevo from abroad, a Dr. Mercolas from abroad, or you can find something that's more of a natural multivitamin made from fruit and vegetable extract. Or you can go into specifics of a B12. Specifics of a B12 could be like, you could do a Becozules, you could do a Becozyme, you could do a Neurobion. I personally do a sublingual, which is I put a B12 dropper under the tongue. Nature's Bounty has one. It's getting a little bit more difficult to get it off the internet because the FSSAI has passed a rule now that all online sold nutraceutical supplements cannot have a high RDA. And most nutritional B complexes are at clinical doses, which will be available only in your pharmacy. So you may need to talk to your doctor about giving you a B complex. There's a company called Wellbeing, which has melts. Melts are strips that dissolve and you put it into your mouth. I have my daily dose over here. Let me see if I can find it. So this is my my B12 melts. I'm not endorsing it. I don't endorse this company. I just personally use it. So I get a melt like this out, and it's not a tablet. It's a strip. So if you can see that over there, it's a strip, just a piece of paper which contains B12. And I put it onto my tongue, and that's it. It melts, and that gives me my daily dose of B12. And it's a vegan B12. Pretty nice flavor. So from that perspective, you can do a B12 that way also. You can do B12 shots because certain people who have the gene receptor for B12 deficiency, there's something known as intrinsic factor in the stomach. Anyone who has acidity or gut problems will not absorb B12 very well through the oral route. Intrinsic factor is like a lock and key model. So the B12 is there, and the intrinsic factor goes and catches B12 and takes it for absorption. So many people are born without the intrinsic factor production. Many people have acidity or gut problems. The lock and key doesn't work. So you might want to take the B12 injections every 4 months. Do not think of it as medicine, think of it as nutrition. And तुम्हारा मम्मी डैडी का जोड़ी उतना अच्छा नहीं था that you got the B12 deficiency gene. So think of it from that perspective and take the medical intervention. It's only nutrition, it's not a medicine. I see many of you smiling about the mummy daddy ka jodi, and anything that happens in my body, I'm like, yeah, mommy, I inherited from your side. Well, my mother look at my father. No, that is from your father's side. So if you face the mummy daddy arguments, then your nutrition can also be blamed, and your running performance can also be blamed on your mom and dad.
Ryan, next question is on hydration, because most are runners, and especially heat running, and then of course, and the follow-up question is also about salt intake. So you could club the two, because I'm taking watch on time as well. So hydration and salt.
When you sweat, you lose water, you lose salts. What are the salts? And salts are sodium, potassium, magnesium chloride. I recently designed an isotonic sports drink. I've helped a lady break the Guinness World Record of non-stop aerobics of 26 hours about a decade ago. And the Apollo doctor in Hyderabad told her that you won't be able to do this record. Your body stats are good, your heart is amazing, your ECG, blah, 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 everything. But you won't be able to complete this record because you will cramp. Human endurance cannot sustain that sort of level of 26 hours of aerobics. And then she asked the doctor, how will it? She said, so doctor says you need to go and find an amazing person who will design a designer solution for you, so you keep hydrating, or you keep taking infusions every 15-minute break that you get every 4 hours. And then they figured out they couldn't get the drip to enter into the bloodstream in 15 minutes every 4-hour break. So then they realized they needed to do a hydration beverage. So I was contacted to be the guy that designed the solution. The lady did 26 hours of non-stop aerobics, Guinness World Record. Now, why am I sharing this with you? If an athlete cramps, if an athlete's muscle doesn't fire, if a athlete runs slower, it's because they are sweating. When they sweat, they lose water. Water is very easy to replace. But the salt has to be a 5:1, 5 sodium to 1 potassium. This makes it an isotonic solution from an electrolyte balance point of view, where the osmolarity means, like if you step into my room now, that the AC here and the AC in the corridor is almost the same, because this is set at 25 and outside corridor is set at 25. So the air will circulate quite ambiently. But if inside is 19 degrees Celsius and outside is 25, this air will rush out. Similarly, in your body, when you sweat, your blood becomes thicker. And when your blood becomes thicker, your heart rate goes up. So you want to keep your blood thinner. How do you keep your blood thinner? You want plasma fluid to remain. But for plasma fluid to remain, it shouts out to the stomach and intestine, hey, bhai, pani de do. When pani comes in plain, this pani that has come is plain pani, but inside we are very elite. We're very, very elite. We have got glucose, we have got salt, we have got minerals. We don't want this sada wala pani. So when you give water with a 6% glucose and fructose solution, the blood says, "Aray bhai, ye to hamara banda hai, same to same. Let's pull it in quickly." You take a 10% sugar solution, "Aray bhai, ye to fruity happy hai na, ye to hamara like nahi hai." हम उसको insulin भेजेगा. So insulin will come out, you'll get a sugar spike, and then you get a crash. So you completely destroy a marathon running because you get a sugar crash when running. So you can't take a high sugar solution. Oh sir, I take electrolyte solution. Oh, electrolyte is designed for dehydration from diarrhea, not running. Dehydration from diarrhea is a different sweat system. It is a poop sweat system, not the skin sweat system. So that will give you only a 3% solution of electrolytes, glucose and no fructose. So I designed this solution called One Chase. I'm shamelessly advertising it here today on this forum, but Shweta has used it in the Sahara, and she has shared it with runners across the world, and they were like, that was a lifesaver. There's nothing great about the formula. It was just pure science by what it's designed. Now, hydration is important. Don't do plain water. I don't care your age, and even if you're diabetic, you need some amount of glucose and salt. What about salt tablets? Salt tablets are good. When you're training for a marathon in normal training and you're looking to lose body fat, don't do my solution. Do a branch chain amino acid and electrolytes and water, but no glucose and fructose. So after 30 minutes of running, you're choking out your muscles saying, hey, bye, I'm not giving you any glucose. So then the body's like, Arey bhai, we are not getting any energy, glycogen is getting depleted, we're going to shut down the brain, fatigue. No, this person is a crazy person, can run. Oh, take the latte and start beating fat out of the body. But you got to run where your heart rate is lower. So that's conditioning. That's another subject. I can take 2 hours just explaining to you how to condition your heart back into place. But Dadi Ma's Nimbu Pani that you make salt and sugar is like running with, no offense, it's like running with power chappals, power shoes. You can run in it, but it's not going to get you that elite timing. So if you're running with Asics or Brooks or whatever it is, or Vibrams or whatever it's running, don't. I see so many people, they have the such expensive equipment, car they turn up in, they're doing like plain water. Like, dudes, what are you doing? Understand your body. Understand. No. Gatorade is Gatorade is bad because it's got artificial coloring in it. But otherwise, it's an amazing sports drink. I'm not endorsing Gatorade, but I'm just telling you that people tend to, without having the knowledge about something, tend to shoot something down. Okay. Shweta, have I explained it? Yeah, everyone please take a magnesium capsule at night. Great thing, doesn't cause headaches, makes your poop softer, gives you deeper sleep, softens your muscles. Whatever your age, only those who have kidney stone problems get in touch with me, will redesign your electrolyte solution. Otherwise, everybody else, drink enough of water. You need a sports drink when you train more than 1 hour. Somebody said, I sweat buckets. You need to do this simple equation. Dry clothes, take your measurement, start running. So let's say your weight is 50. And then you run for 1 hour and you become 49 kg. So you lost 1 kg of water or 1 liter of water. And you drank 500 ml of water along the way. So you've actually lost 1.5 liters. So your sweat rate replenishment should be 1.5 liters. In this 1.5 liters, I can work out the calculation for you and do it for you. And it varies from person to person. But the ideal equation is in runners is 50 ml per kg body weight for the whole day's production of water. So if I can ask, I mean, I know I will ask somebody else over here. Srinivas, if you're listening in, what's your body weight?
Hi Ryan, it's 87 kgs.
So Srinivas, if you're 87 kgs, I'll make it easy. 90 into 5, you require 4.5 liters of water per day. As a marathon runner, if you're running on a daily basis, that's the total consumption, 4.5 liters in the day. So you now got to figure it out. How do you build it? You should not take most of your water content when you're running because it sloshes around inside your gut. So I think ideal hydration rates in running would be about 500 to 700 ml per hour is ideal. If you can go beyond a liter, you're a rock star. I mean, you can really, somebody said, I lost 5 kg weight today after drinking 3 liters of water. I weigh 75 kg. Ooh, that means your sweat rate is 8 liters. That's like, do you cramp, Kushi? Kushi, forgive me. I don't know.
Girish. Yeah, that's Girish.
Okay.
And yes, he does cramp, but he didn't cramp today, he says. But
okay.
He does cramp, yeah.
Yeah. So then we need to have a higher salt content, higher glucose content, 8% solution. And then we do things like chia seed pudding before the run so that it holds 11 times its weight in water. The chia seeds will give you hydration. So a lot of strategy like that. Shweta, some more questions?
Yes. A lot of people have many point of views on supplements. A lot of people say, no, I don't want to take supplements. Why take supplements? And this and that. So some some insights from experts there. And there's a question on intermittent fasting. If time permits, we'll try and go to that.
I'll be able to do a little longer if everyone wants to come in. I'm actually enjoying myself. The energy of this group is really cool.
Thank you so much.
I can only imagine if you all met up in Goa, what would happen. The beer would have electrolyte tablets dropped into it.
No, we just do with the beer. We will just skip it. We'll do the carbo loading. That's all.
So I once convinced a runner to have whiskey with Gatorade, and after that the guy got hooked. So
you're giving me ideas.
So yeah, when I come next time to Gurgaon, I'll meet up with everyone. What was the question again?
Myths. I mean,
on
supplements.
This is my signature statement. Supplements are a nutritional convenience for your nutritional indiscipline. If you're nutritionally disciplined, you don't need supplements. If you're genetically on the back foot, you may need a supplement. But if you're nutritionally disciplined and you know your genes are perfect and you're doing your blood test, take my example. I take a serine phosphatidylcholine supplement for my brain. There's no deficiency only there. I'm just biohacking. I take a supplement from a company called Decode Age, which is NMN. It's called Longevit. Now, you don't need to take this. I'm telling you what I've taken after I've designed my structure. And I take a magnesium supplement. The rest I don't take because I eat organic. I eat an amazing amount of microgreens because that would contain my chlorophyll and hopefully my micronutrition. I try and buy hydroponic stuff because I know they're putting goods, the good, what we call as fertilizer, which is the natural fertilizer, the organic fertilizer in it, and they're not spraying it with that much of insecticides and pesticides. But people who do sport, there is a depletion of nutrition because of the damage of the physical activity on the body, and thereby because your rooms are being damaged, things like collagen, more vitamin B complex and C, because they are both water soluble and you sweat and pee a lot, are lost. Protein is higher because there is cellular and structural damage. Glucosamine, chondroitin sulfate, and MSM for your cartilage and tissue are some of the key things. Electrolytes could be considered. And so from that perspective, you could look at supplements are a thumbs up. But the thing is that people do, like I had this client last year, they did their own supplementation regime and they did Ayurveda along with that, and they got heavy metal poisoning. And the liver went into damage, and the client's hemoglobin dropped from 14 to 9 over a 1 year period because of the Ayurvedic supplements and the heavy metals in it. So I think self-prescription of supplements, and it's like, oh my God, yesterday I was on LinkedIn. There was this elderly gentleman, must be about 55, 60. He's talking about nutrition, and I'm like, it's written Stanford School of Medicine. And I was like, who is this Indian I've never heard of? I went and looked at his profile. He's a VC. I almost lost it yesterday. I was like, I want to go publicly on his profile and say, you are not allowed to talk about nutrition by doing a certificate course in Stanford. I'm sorry, but I want to call out these influencers out there. And if you are doing it, as we have running coaches who prescribe diet charts. Ghanta, these guys know anything, yaar. And you, on the other hand, want to take advice from such people just because they ran so much of distance. So they're also subject matter experts on nutrition. It's like you coming to me, Shweta coming to me and saying, Ryan, give me my training schedule for marathon running. I've never run in my life. So don't get influenced by ads about supplements. People who take oh, my friend Shweta is taking collagen. Look at his skin glow. I should also take collagen. Do it scientifically. Yaar. Do you service your own iPhone and Apple Watch and your car yourself? What conjuicy stuff that people do yaar, on their body. Sometimes I get irritated. The guy's wearing a freaking Rolex and then wanting to do supplement protein strategy. Ryan, tell me what protein is. Did you do a food allergy test? One guy came to me, liver damage, grade 1 fatty liver. Sir, I've been training for the last 30 years in the gym and all. 60 grams of protein every day. I did his Emu Pro is a German blood test for food allergy. He says, sir, it's 38,000 rupees for the blood test. Guy is wearing a Rolex. So I was like, sir, please just do it. Listen to me. Comes back that he's allergic to casein, he's allergic to whey, he's allergic to dairy, and the only milk he can drink is camel milk. Not cow milk, not goat milk. So this gives a whole list. He's been taking whey protein for the last 30 years. Guess what? His grade 1 fatty liver, he refuses to believe me, is the cause from his whey protein intake. No, sir, I drink and I got alcohol and I got all of this thing. 3 months on a proper diet, his SGOT, SGPT, GGT, the liver enzymes began to drop. So the supplementation by self-prescription harms the body. Supplementation under influencer advice, or like, for example, I won't name the companies, they do come to me and they ask me to recommend them. But for example, yesterday I saw a Taekwondo super champion. Forget that. Cricketers are talking about the supplement. Like Virat Kohli is talking about a supplement you should take. Are Ganta, I am his nutritionist who gave him all the supplement prescription. So how can he endorse and say that this is a supplement you need when it is bio-individual? So wherever you go in the world, do not misuse your personal real estate. Go proper. Do the correct testing. And there's a simple test. You want to do it on your own, buy a supplement, take a blood test, check your resting heart rate, take it for 1 month, check your resting heart rate, check your blood test. If all parameters remain the same or improve, it's a thumbs up. But do not take the advice because of an ad or an influencer or because your next door neighbor is doing it. That would be detrimental. And that's my position on supplement. I worked for the two best supplement companies in the world before I started my Qua nutrition clinics, because every time we went to sell a supplement, everyone said, "Bhai bolo dal chawal roti kaisa lene ka?" मेरे को पता है ये green tea, ये protein powder कैसा लेने का, herbal life कैसा लेने का, नहीं, dal chawal roti कैसा लेने का. So first get your dal chawal roti in alignment, and then get a nutritional supplement. It's like, I don't know if you've seen in Gurgaon and all, you will see that old Zen vehicle with a Ferrari sticker on it. वो जो फेरारी स्टिकर है ना सप्लीमेंट है, लेकिन अंदर जेन वाला गाड़ी 2000, you get my picture? It's not a Ferrari. He's assuming he's a Ferrari because he's put a Ferrari sticker. He's assumed he's taking supplement, so he's going to run faster. और उनका दाल चावल रोटी, the foundation is not perfect. So focus on your eating strategy first. Go organic. Look at your macros. Look at your blood test, look at your genetic test, look at your omega-3 testing. I didn't talk about omega-3 testing. Shweta, it's a 2,400 rupee pinprick test. I can send a kit to everyone today. For 2,400 rupees, you will come to know, and I promise you this, if your omega-3 level is low, which it will be, I'm not going to do the thing where I have to give you back money guarantee because some of you may be taking omega-3 supplements, but your brain is made up of 60% fat, and 50% of the fat is omega-3. So when people start losing memory, start going slower, there was a study on Boston Marathon runners, phosphatidylcholine, which is a phospholipid, which makes up 12.5% of the brain, 40% of it dropped after the Boston Marathon. Guess what? You train in the run-up, right? So why do people get mentally dead a month into the marathon? They're not able to hold their jobs well, think well, see clearly. Maybe you're young, you can do it, but you need to top up your phosphatidylserine. You need to top up your omega-3. Now, the only way I would do this is if I did a blood test. Shweta, I know I can go on and on and on. Let's take maybe 4-5 more questions and we'll wind up by 11:15.
Okay, there was a question on intermittent fasting and somebody asked how much alcohol interfere with training? Do we need to stop alcohol? A little bit is okay. So let's address intermittent fasting because I think that's a common question that comes up in a lot of our sessions.
If you have more than 50% body fat percentage as a man and more than 20% body fat as a woman, intermittent fasting will work for you if you don't get acidity. Please go ahead. Fasting via our ancestors in spirituality of Monday, Thursdays, Lent in Christianity, Ramadan in Islam, these are all great things. Unfortunately, religion has become very fashionable today, and we tend to do what is required and then we don't do the fasting part. So please do fasting. Intermittent fasting is a nice marketing term that people like me have brought to the table so that we give a certain flair to it. Everyone used to eat at 7 o'clock in the evening and then eat the next meal at 7 o'clock in the morning. That's a 12-hour fast. If you can go from 12 to 14 to 16 to 18 to 24, it works. I'll share a secret to this group for all of you listening in so far. Research has shown that if you fast for 30 hours twice a month, you can activate mitochondrial biosynthesis, which means you kill out all the old mitochondria. Shweta and me have done this experiment where we do fasted state training for twice a week, just to kill out the old mitochondria. Mitochondria are the powerhouse in every cell. So most of us have about 300-400 mitochondria per cell. Elite runners, younger ages have 1200 mitochondria per cell. That's how they generate power and endurance. So in your 300 to 600, you will have some old guys also in there because your nutrition is bad, blah, 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 whatever. So you want to get it good. Fasting will throw out the sluggish ones and recreate the new guys. Now, when the new guys come in and your nutrition is good, your nutritional supplementation could be bang on. Your endurance ability goes up because of intermittent fasting. Men should train in fasted state. Women ideally should train in a fed state. This has been my realization, but there are few women, for example, Shweta, with your permission, can I tell them that you train in, yeah? So she trains in a fasted state and it works for her. She loves it. But there are many women, I have to give them a banana. I have to give them an oatmeal or just some chia seeds or a dry fruit laddu or something first thing in the morning before they head out on a run. But men, most of us evolution wise were built to go days and days without food to hunt the food. So just imagine yourself as a hunter going out at 5 o'clock in the morning in Gurgaon mist and hunt whatever you're hunting and come back 2 hours later. Should you eat after the run? Ideally speaking, yes.
Okay.
Alcohol?
Alcohol. Yeah.
This is a tough one being a Goan. Let me answer this as a scientist. Research now is showing, Google up a guy called Dr. Daniel Amen. I actually had the privilege of making friends with one of his assistants. His name is Dr. Shane. I'm actually reading his book right now. Peak Sleep Performance by Dr. Shane Criado. He works with Dr. Daniel Amen. And Dr. Daniel Amen does SPECT scans of the brain. And he has pictures which actually show the hollow things in the brain and stuff like that with marijuana, with alcohol, with everything. No, I don't drink that much. I just drink on the weekend. It is affecting. But at the same time, I would love to have a drink once a week. I do have a drink once a week. I now tell my clients, go from large to small. If you did 4 large, downgrade to 4 smalls. If you did 2 large, downgrade to 2 smalls. If you've done heavy weight training on Friday, so today, Saturday is my weight training session. I'm going to be doing legs today. So today I will not be drinking because when alcohol remains in my bloodstream for 24 hours, so I'm going to drink today at around 10 o'clock at night. But I'm going to do my weight training leg session at 5 o'clock. So at 5 o'clock, I'm going to release creatine kinase for the next 24 to 36 hours to reheal my muscle. Now, if alcohol is in my system, it goes and gives thappat to creatine kinase. Creatine kinase says, sorry, saab, मैं तो muscle protein synthesis नहीं करेगा. So ideally, if you want to be drinking, you do not want to be drinking on the weekend when you do your heavy and long runs from an Olympic athletic performance point of view. And if it can help you recover faster, then no alcohol in your system works. Speaking of alcohol, try and do the alcohols which where you dilute it, it doesn't have more calories like orange juice or Coke. You want to do more of soda, water, and tonic water, because those are the alcohols which will then not get the additional burden of calories. Should you eat and then drink alcohol? Highly recommended. So you lie in your stomach and it doesn't get sanitized with the alcohol that goes into you.
And this is my question actually, is that drinking post run, because a lot of people say, oh, now I've done my marathon PB and let's have beer.
Shweta, there are 2 types of runners. Okay, there are runners who are serious and then there are runners who are having fun. And as a sports nutritionist, I cater to both audiences. If you're a fun-loving person, go ahead and drink. I mean, it's not the end of the world. It's not like you're going to get a catastrophic heart attack after that. But know this, that if another marathon is coming up 4 weeks later, you would not do that because there's catastrophic damage in your muscle, and it's going to take like about a week for it to heal back. And immediately there is a window of rebuilding, which is the first 3 days after what we call as microscopic trauma. And in the case of marathon running, it's not microscopic trauma, it's macroscopic trauma. It's like somebody's taken a lathi and beaten the life out of your glutes, your hams, your quads, and your calves. Not to mention the cartilage and the ligaments and tendons in the lower part of your posterior chain, which is the legs. So I would do a celebratory glass of wine or whiskey, but I've seen people go berserk after that. And I think it's only slowing down your recovery. I did have one very funny Punjabi gentleman. The Punjabis live life king size. And he was like, Ryan, ye mera protein shake hai aur ye mera Patiala peg. And he would do both. And I think that was the balance of the two worlds, being fun and being performance and everything. I do not endorse alcohol drinking post run. But if you're a fun person and you're a fun-loving person, we'll figure out how to balance your alcohol and your supplementations.
Just one, Shweta, there was a question, just one last question, Ryan, about can women start running after 50?
Why not is my question. So this is the advice I would give if somebody came fresh to me. Number one is I would get them in touch with a great exercise physiotherapist to do an assessment of her body, range of motion and all, and then not start running immediately, but first build 3 months of structured training, cardio, walking, get all the joints moving, get the diet in place, because she might at that point have 10-15% more body fat, which is dead weight on her. Next counseling. So that's my secretary reminding me to move on. So where was I? So the ladies come in and she gets all of this done, get the diet in place, look at the micronutrition and all. And then she should get a great running coach to come in and then build that thing. Now she just suddenly decides to run 5 kilometers and first day doesn't work. And if you've seen a professional running coach, they're like, are you going crazy? You just are going to ask me to walk for the first 2 weeks. But that's the right thing that a person should do. And as a nutritionist, though it's not my domain as an exercise physiologist, I would highly recommend women after the age of 50 to weight train. You have to weight train because you need to retain your muscle. Even men, muscle is the only age reversible organ in the human body. I repeat, muscle is the only age reversible organ. Running doesn't build muscle. Running works on the cardiovascular endurance because it's body weight. But if you want to get better bone density, better testosterone, lesser fat mass, both male and female, after the age of 50, I would not buy that Mercedes Benz where the EMI is 1 lakh rupees. I would buy a Skoda Superb where the EMI is 45,000 rupees. I would take out that 45,000 rupee EMI and give it to a strength trainer, a Pilates trainer, and a yoga instructor, and I would do classes with them every month, because your body is the Mercedes Benz, is the Rolls Royce. So please invest in an amazing, qualified, not housekeeping trainer. Most of the gyms in this part of the world, the housekeeper after 6 months becomes a trainer in the gym. Find the person, don't be afraid to ask the certification from the trainer. What did you do? Where did you study? Oh, yours is a certification. See who all the person's training. Is there a certain science? Is there a certain logic? And if you have any doubts, get in touch with me. I know all the best trainers in the country. Karima, I hope I answered your question.
Absolutely. Perfectly.
Shweta, with your permission, I want to add one point to what Mr. Ryan just said.
Please, Rama.
Yeah, so I just want to add this, importance of having a strength trainer or a running coach, even if you're just a simple maintenance runner like me. Like I just retired, Ryan, and people are surprised that, I've retired. I've consciously chosen not to do anything for some time. That, I pay 12K for my strength trainer for 12 classes a month. And I have a running coach who also charges a certain fees. People are surprised that I'm retired, but I still have a one-to-one personal trainer. I would rather not vacation and go. I really don't do any fancy parties, vacations. So I think people are not realizing it that, you need to save to be able to spend on these things. I really value what Ryan is reinforcing, that having a qualified strength trainer, they just see a lot of videos and start doing. And that's when I think they get a backache or they get this, and the next 3 months, they're not doing anything.
Rama, what was your profession before you retired?
I was in the tech industry.
You were the tech industry. All of us dabble in stocks and shares, right? We think they're very good investors. When you get a professional financial advisor, you realize your money grows much better. Most people are like that. They will try and do the workouts on their own, thinking that they can manage their money, manage their body better. But what you have to say, Rama, and it's amazing that you pointed this out. You will compound the investment of what you invest in the trainer, not today, but when you're 90 years of age, you will walk up the stairs, and when you board a flight in India, you'll be the only 90-year-old who doesn't ask for a wheelchair. Now that, madam, no money can buy, and as MasterCard says, that is priceless.
Ryan, I know there will be more questions. This is never ending. One session, 1 hour with you is never enough. For the others, if there are more questions, we'll either gather the questions and try and get a response for Ryan, or maybe get back Ryan. Ryan will be kind enough maybe to come back again for another session. So
Shweta, I'm happy to work with any people over here who have organizations and they want a speaker at the organization and stuff like that. It's my give back to society. In terms of, I've become very successful, and I'm happy to do this with like-minded people, because you become the brand ambassadors of nutrition, you become the brand ambassadors of running, you become the brand ambassador of training. And if each one of you here can influence 1 lakh people around you, we're a 1.3 billion population, each one of you can become a health coach. Think about it. So Shweta, I'm going to say bye. I'm going to say bye to everybody for attending.
Thank you so much, Ryan. Thank you so much. Really means a lot. Thanks. We'll talk.
Permission to leave your group.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye, everyone. Thank you, Garima. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks. Bye-bye.
For whoever is still here, we'll meet in 2 weeks.
Thank you, Garima. Thank you, Shweta.
Thanks, guys, for organizing this.
I'll send the recording out.
Thank you so much.
Good weekend, everyone. Bye.
Likewise. Thanks so much.